Jonah, welcome to the Halving Report podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this tonight, man.
What's going on?
Oh man, so
Pleasure
you and
to be
I,
here.
yeah. You and I met a couple nights ago
Yeah.
up here at the restaurant, man. This is a Bitcoin hub, as we've discussed.
Bitcoin Breaker, the Beach Breaker Hotel,
Yep.
best Bitcoin hotel in El Salvador. It is not even close. This is the dominant spot. If you're going to come to El Salvador, highly encourage the Beach Breaker Hotel. They take care of you. The owner, Carlos, is absolutely the man. Took us out on a volcano tour today. Had the best time of our whole lives. Come here. You're going to be taken care of. Incredible prices, incredible service. 10 out of 10.
Carlos and Anita have taken care of Chris and I all week. They're great hosts, and so yeah, thank you for that shout out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna keep you stimulated throughout this podcast, brother.
Let's get it.
So what I love about you, Jonah, is that you're all in. You're all in.
I'm all in, except that I keep buying these $3 packs of smokes.
Yeah, keeping them in business down the road there. So you're all in, and you just moved here. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your journey and like how long you've been here and what's been your experience so far.
Man, okay, so my journey's a little bit weird, a little bit of a weirdo. I moved to El Salvador on Wednesday, sold all my possessions, and I decided that I've got to come here. I've got some Bitcoin. I've got some many months of runway because of Bitcoin. I highly encourage everyone to get some Bitcoin so that they can have many months of runway to go and pursue their dreams as well. But I saw what was going on in El Salvador, and I realized that this was a dead country. The most dangerous country in the world, historically more dangerous than Baghdad, more dangerous than Iraq, more dangerous than Ukraine. There were so many murders here. All of the locals, they couldn't start businesses, they couldn't project into the future and start to look for a better life. They had no hope because they were trying to survive an imminent danger. And a year ago, this new president, Nayib Bukele, garnered enough support from the locals to perform something that no other country has ever performed, which is locking up all of the 66,000 terrorists terrorizing this country. And in the span of a week, this went from a dead country, 6 feet deep in the ground, to a living, vibrant country where the people are no longer in fear for their lives, and they can now see into the future a life that is completely different to the one that they had before, and they will never go back. They can start to look forward, invest in the future, and start to build a savings and a life for themselves in a way they've never been able to before. And when you experience the feeling of the local Salvadorans that are going through that, it is a polar opposite from America, I'm sure Canada, and all of these Western civilizations that are on the decline. It is polar opposite, and it even almost brings a tear to my eye when you talk to these people because you sense this hope, rather than in America where you get this apathy and you get this sense of it doesn't even matter, it's hopeless. Here, it's the opposite. All we have is hope, and we are on the same team. Let's make El Salvador great for once.
And I think you've had some great success and awesome introduction there. But you've had some great success since you've been here. You know, you're connecting with all sorts of people in the community already. You're looking at places to stay, possibly bunking up with other Bitcoiners.
100%.
So that's really cool. But you've particularly had some success with your drone. So I want to give you an opportunity to tell that story.
Man, so this is what's so incredible. So one thing that I really like to share with people is the concept of soft skills are overrated. And those soft skills being sales or marketing and being a convincing person or being like a cool guy. What people don't look at is the physical tools to get the job done. Anyone who's ever been successful at anything had the right tools to get the job done. Yes, they had the other side, the soft skills as well. But as soon as they got those tools, that's what allowed them to increase the velocity at which they could achieve their goals. So whether it's the best military, they have the best tools. Whether it's the best tech company, they have the best tools. Or if you just look throughout history, hunters and gatherers, the best hunters who were the chiefs of their tribes, they had the best tools. They went and made them. They found the flint, created their spears, and they took down a mammoth, and they're the man now because they had the tools. So my thinking was, okay, I'm going to move to El Salvador, and I don't have a following right now, but I know that El Salvador is going in the direction that I want to go. So I'm going to go there and invest in El Salvador. And so I need tools to do that, because I can go down there and I can go here and talk to people, and that's great, and I can make an impact. But if I bring the tools to be able to share this to a scale that wouldn't be possible on a one-on-one, that's where the difference can really be made. So I invested in a $3,000 DJI Mavic drone. Pretty cool. But basically, I was able to take my first shot on this drone. I don't know how to drive this thing. I'm almost crashing it into walls. And what's going on is I randomly accidentally get this incredible, beautiful video of Elzonte, Bitcoin Beach, the heart of the Bitcoin culture, where it started here in El Salvador, long before it was safe, long before it was legal tender. This movement started here. And so I got this footage and I posted it out one time on Twitter. Now, Max Kaiser, 600,000 followers on Twitter, advisor to President Bukele of El Salvador, the guy who got the Bitcoin movement started officially in the government here, saw my video. And what he does is he says, this is a beautiful piece showing the beauty of our country here. And he takes it and he pins this to his profile. I have no following. I have no people that are watching my stuff and shouting me out. But just because of the simple tool that I invested in, I was able to garnish all that traction. And just the simple fact of having Max Kaiser retweet me and then pin me to his account, which you actually showed me, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Being able just to show that to people adds a level of credibility that I couldn't have possibly had before. And it opens all these doors to the owner of this fine establishment here, opens the door with you, all these people, the Germans. And so the tool is what actually allowed me to get that. So again, what I need to encourage everybody to do is, yeah, you want to develop your soft skills, you want to be a better communicator, but you need tools. You need to invest in tools. You need to spend money to get tools so you can get the job done at a velocity at which you'll actually get a return on your investment. So get some tools, 100%.
Yeah, no, I love that explanation about tools and making that investment.
What do we got right here?
Yeah, we got mini mics.
We've got music playing and wind blowing, and if we didn't have these, there ain't no podcasts.
Yeah.
But you did. You did the right thing. You made an investment, and now here we are.
Exactly.
And you ran 3 podcasts a day.
Yeah, man, it's been a busy day. We did the volcano, Santa Ana volcano, which is
5 a.m. to what time now? 9 at night?
I mean, and we got the time. Yeah, it's getting late here. Yeah, we're trying to pump it out, make use of our time here.
Yeah.
You, like you said, you've been here since last Wednesday. So what's your plan then? Like you're here, you've checked out Bitcoin Beach. You know, you're hearing about Berlin, other opportunities in Bitcoin centric areas. You're fresh here.
Yeah.
Where's your mindset?
So my mindset here was to come to Elzonte first for a week, just to experience this culture, and then move to San Salvador, the big city, so that I could be connected to people here. But I got here and I met you, and you introduced me to Ronnie, introduced me to Chris, the Germans, Carlos here. And I got so connected, I started to realize the Bitcoin movement is in Elzonte. If you want to be a part of the Bitcoin movement, if you really want to be a part of if you want to be a part of New York in the 1920s, you want to be a part of history and like something that is going to 1,000x over the next 20 years, you need to get your ass to Bitcoin Beach, Elzonte. You don't need to move here, but you need to get here. You need to meet some people. You need to make some connections, because that's another thing that's completely undervalued with people. Is, yeah, we talk about tools and we talk about buying Bitcoin, but what about connections? If you're not sitting here connecting with people, you're screwed. You can have all the money in the whole wide world. If there's no people around to enjoy it with, you're just going to kill yourself. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Connection is everything. And so that was my mindset here. It's like, I've got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to 10 million. And it is I've got 90 months of runway, as is, if Bitcoin doesn't move. So I'm like, okay, I've got money, but what I am severely lacking in my whole life is connections. Why? Well, here's why. In America, I'm always been a complete outsider, okay? And what that means is I grew up in a way where I was looking around the world and I was seeing things that didn't add up, much like our good German friend here that you also interviewed. And because of these things, I'm asking questions that are frustrating for people. I'm asking too many questions, and people are pushing me to the back, and they're kind of suppressing my curiosity.
Mhm.
And so with that, I started to kind of pull back, right? Not on what mattered to me and what I was interested in and researching, but in my connecting with people. And so I wasn't fully isolated. I've got some really, really close, tight-knit friends, but the rest of them were fairly shallow because I couldn't actually connect on a core level, because our ways of thinking are just too different. Then I got here and I started talking to you and Chris and Jacob and Ronnie and Carlos and the other Chris and Marlon, and I realized these people are like me. And where I had like almost a social anxiety, I had like a fear of shyness or like an inadequacy feeling, I come here and that is gone. And when I say it's gone, there's no trace. I'm able to communicate with people and on a core level as if we're brothers, as if we've known each other for the past 10 years. And there's nothing like it. And again, that comes down to being here at the core level of something that was just brought to life. This is spring. You come out of winter and you enter spring and everything blooms and it comes to life. That's here right now. I just got to convince everybody, you've got to come and visit and connect with some people, because that will change the trajectory of your entire life, or at the very least it could. Take some risks.
I think people feel, other Bitcoiners here really feel that sentiment. Like back home, it's black sheep, Bitcoiner, not too many people interested in yet.
Exactly.
You come here, you're meeting like-minded people, and it feels like we know each other for such a long time because we've both been interested in the same thing for a very long time.
Exactly.
But you did mention $10 million, so we're going to go into everybody's favorite question, which is price predictions.
Yeah.
And I just want to go, I don't want to go like way down in the future, but I want to talk about, because we're like, I think 17 weeks from the next Bitcoin halving. There's a halving party here early April.
Come to the halving party, come to the Bitcoin, come to the Beach Breaker Hotel, the best Bitcoin hotel here. I'm telling you, you'll walk in, it's got Elzonte. It's the only new build here. It's by far the nicest, by far the cheapest, by far the best. And this is where the halving party is, and you've got to get your booty down here.
Yeah. Well, if I could just interject, there's official the halving Bitcoin. I forget the website, but it's halvingparty.com or Bitcoin
right. There's
party.
the official event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but there will be. That's only 2 days long.
Correct.
It's like an all-inclusive, just meet and greet, not a true
cool
conference. But I think there's a conference afterwards.
Yeah, come for a week.
This is a great place for folks to stay too. I think that other place is a little pricey. So if you're a traveler on a budget, this is the place to be. Absolutely.
And also, like, I'm telling you this, there's like, I don't want to get all weird and woo-woo, but it's almost on a spiritual level here, like in the way that you feel. I don't know if it's the environment or the people or the way that they take care of you, but just being here, I'm saying that not this hotel, full regret. I mean, I just spend all my time here because this is the place to be. And of course, the event, you go to the event, you got to be at the event. But spend some time here and connect to those people, meet Carlos, and come meet me. I'll be here, and we'll make it happen.
So between 2024, 2028, what's your high prediction? What's your low prediction?
24. Okay, so the next 4 years. So here's where I'm at, bro. I'm at 500,000 to like 10 million.
All right.
So low end 500,000, high end 10 million. High end being if ETFs are approved, fair standards of accounting are put into place. Apple and these companies are able to put their treasuries into Bitcoin so that they're no longer holding 500 billion in cash. It's appreciating at 10% per year in purchasing power. Now they can hold Bitcoin and actually receive 10 to 20% compounding annually, and those are bearish numbers on their capital. And then as soon as, because of security, they can actually take out loans on those securities, meaning they can use their liquidity at 1% without having to sell their Bitcoin. They never have to sell again, which is why it's going up forever, Laura.
So this is hyper-Bitcoinization phase. You think this?
I've got an 80% probability on hyper-Bitcoinization this cycle.
Wow,
that's where my money's at. Just look at the cycle. Look at the political geography. Look at everything going along worldwide. Everywhere is falling apart. China inflation is is falling apart. They've got apartments that are for sale 45% off. You wait another 3 months, they'll be 75% off. This is China, a really strong economic force in the world. America, it's the same thing. Canada, it's the same thing. In the Netherlands, I've talked to people there, it's the same thing. In Germany, prices are falling as well. And this is what we're seeing. Inflation is absolutely, the currency's being devalued is absolutely destroying people's entire incentive structure for their life. This is the source of all the crime. This is the source of all of the division. This is the source of all things. You fix the money, you fix the world. It's like a cliche, but this is where we're at. And if you look at the climate, you can just sense that we're on this precipice. Everyone's like, yeah, but I felt it in 2022. Okay, that's great, but the logistics weren't in place.
Right.
There was no security. These companies can't buy commodities. They can buy securities. These companies can't take out loans on commodities. They can on securities, meaning they don't have to sell. They can put it in their treasury very easily, rapidly. And then with the accounting standards being fixed, now when their Bitcoin's in a drawdown and it goes back up, they don't have to say forever it's in a drawdown like they do right now. Next year, as soon as it goes up, now they can actually mark it as that appreciation again. And so when you see all those things, there's no way for Apple to move the needle to increase their revenue more. There's not. They've done it. They've tried it. They're doing everything. And so their next step is going to be to buy Bitcoin. That is going to increase their treasury dramatically. And it becomes this arms race. It becomes this giant gamification of hyper-Bitcoinization. And I really don't think that they're even going to have a chance to roll out CBDCs and all of these things because they shot their load too early, and Bitcoin is coming in at just that moment where they kind of like drew their sword and their arm is up here, and it's like, sorry, Bitcoin's right here with the jab and just taking them out. So
Oh man, I love your passion, and your sentiment is mimicking a lot of the sentiment I'm hearing here around this area. So you're probably in the ballpark, it sounds like, and I pray that it does what it does, and this is the cycle to onboards everybody.
Well, if it doesn't, we're going to see a very violent next 4 years, incredibly violent. We're going to see worldwide riots, famines, governments just absolutely looting their own countries through inflation. We're going to see absolute horrors. So yeah, I also pray that does happen. And also, everyone's like, oh, it's a guess. Well, the reality is if you take data and you analyze it, you can make projections with probabilities. And that's not a guess, that's called a projection. And what you're doing is when you have enough data, you get a superpower. And that's called foresight. Okay? If you have done enough repetitions of one thing and you've seen how all the different ways that it could occur, you start to be able to calculate and say, okay, I predict this is going to happen. That's science. And it really is exactly the same with Bitcoin.
You got a neat new hat today.
Where's my hat?
Where's your hat?
I think it's over there.
Oh, is
Nayib
it?
Bukele 2024. If somebody wants to grab it over there, I'll toss it to me.
No, that was awesome, and I wanted one, but I think you got the last one.
I think they were sold out.
Yeah,
they got sold out quick after I bought that last one, man. Something happened. They got popular real quick.
Yeah, I know you're a fan. So
and they got sold out. I think they had two left, and they got sold out, my G.
That's a sick hat, so I wanted to make sure we got a shot of that.
Show this. So
there we go.
Nayib Bukele with the Bitcoin logo. Down. Yeah. Nayib Bukele with the Bitcoin logo. And then we've got 2024. That's when he's getting his re-election. We've got Dios, that's God, Union, which is unity, and Libertad, which is freedom. And that's his three points that he runs on. And if you don't like that, then you're a fucking loser.
Man, I love your approach. You're a very candid speaker, and you're not afraid of being yourself. And I really feel like you're being yourself here. But what's your strategy when you're talking to a normie, as they say, a no coiner, somebody coming in this space with no background knowledge?
What is my what's my advice for them?
Your strategy,
for a no coiner?
How do you explain?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a phenomenal question. So this is lovely. Here's what I don't recommend doing. If you want to orange pill somebody, here's what you don't do. Blah 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 blah. That's what they hear when you start telling them stuff. Stop telling people stuff. You need to stop now. Okay, here's what you do instead. You're going to ask Socratic questions. Now, if you don't know what that is, I highly suggest Googling it because we're not going to get into it here. But essentially, it's just going to be questions that lead to an answer that you already know. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to get them to identify a problem. Mm-hmm. So here in El Salvador, we talked to a young gentleman, boots on the ground. Maybe we can clip the footage in. Mm-hmm. We were at the rave here in the jungle, and there was a young Salvadoran 20-year-old, super cool, speaks good English, smart guy, and he kind of understood Bitcoin, but he was still on the fence about it. And I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I got to have the right approach with this guy. I can't just tell him things. So I asked him why. So quick context, El Salvador had to switch from their colon, which is like their peso, it's their money, to the US dollar because the colon was completely devalued and it would have cost tens of thousands to even buy like a loaf of bread type thing. So they had that going on, and they had to actually switch to the US dollar because that's infinitely more stable, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the context. Now I ask him, why did you have to switch from the colon to the US dollar? And he thinks, he's like, well, because the economy broke. I said, that's not good. Why'd the economy break? He said, well, they were printing, and then the prices were going up and the economy broke. I said, oh no, that's a problem, isn't it? He says, yeah, that's a problem. Boom, okay, we've just identified a problem. What that does is it subconsciously activates his paying attention in his brain. There's no way to get around it. It's like your amygdala. If you identify a problem, you have to look at it. And so as soon as you do that, it's a subconscious deal. They're going to be receptive. Okay, now we've got the problem established. Let's take it a step further. Okay, so it broke the economy, so you had to switch to the US dollar because they were printing so much and it was inflating. What if I told you that the US dollar and the government and the central banks are doing the exact same thing? And he goes, oh shit. Yeah. And then the whole deal is that's why Bitcoin. And I said, because if they do print all the money, what's going to happen to the US dollar like the cologne? And he says, it's going to go down. Yeah. I said, exactly. And he goes, that's why Bitcoin. And he says, Bitcoin is the new order. It's more than just the money. Yeah. It's a new way. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of being. And man, for that 20-year-old kid to get it is absolutely beautiful. But to circle back to the question, you need to identify a problem and introduce a solution. That's the only way. Identify a problem, label the problem, offer the solution. It's really sales 101. I've been in sales my whole life, and that's what you have to do. Stop telling people stuff. Stop doing it. People hate it. They tune you out. You're actually going to do the opposite of grow Bitcoin. You're going to make people fucking hate Bitcoin. Excuse my language, but it's like, it really destroys people's care about Bitcoin. They're like, please shut up, bro. I don't get it. I don't care. Yeah. It's because it's not a problem to them. Right. When you get them to admit it's a problem, they're like, okay, I've got a fucking problem. I got to deal with this. Yeah. And that has to be the mindset and the system you take, or you're going to fail.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you referenced that conversation we had with those young Salvadorians, because that was really good, and I'm so grateful that you pulled out your camera for that, because that's something I'd like to review, because that was such a good ground level conversation for young people, bro. And they were very critically thinking and open towards it. And I think we'll have to put that one out there. It was such a good conversation. I want to put that one out there separate, and we'll link it. We'll put the link.
And I was just worried when we talked to them. I was worried they were really going to be tight asses. Yeah, but they weren't.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And you know what? And I love your sales experience, and you're bringing it to this space. And that actually happened earlier today when you went out. I don't know. I think you were in Banos or whatever. Yeah. And you used that pitch when a no coiner was asking about Bitcoin, and you identified a problem for them. That when you went out to the washroom there, all of a sudden she was curious.
She started asking questions.
And she started asking me questions.
She was kind of annoyed with us talking about Bitcoin before.
And then she kind of got into an isolated manner where she can speak one-on-one with somebody. Yep. And she probably asked 20 questions. And I was so happy to have been there to.
And what was the catalyst for her wanting to ask those questions?
Well, as I'm saying it was you planting that seed and getting her to think about.
I want to be clear though, it wasn't about me. It was purely about the fact that she felt that she had identified a problem. Mm-hmm. Whether I was the one who had introduced that to her is completely irrelevant, because everyone can introduce, like, you just have to make them realize. Mm-hmm. Because when you make them realize with questions, they are the ones realizing. When you're just telling them the problem, they don't freaking care. Mm-hmm. You got to get them to recognize it themselves.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm definitely, that's probably the biggest thing I'm going to take away from you in our experience in El Salvador here. Now, you already mentioned Max Kaiser. You know, you're pinned on his profile right now, which is super
Cheers,
cool. You've
mate.
been here for a couple of fucking days, and you're already pinned on Max Kaiser. I feel like everybody who's coming here, all Bitcoiners that are coming here, good things are just happening to them.
Yeah, no, it's a magical moment.
Yeah. So just on that, besides him, you know, is there any other resources or people you like to follow in this space?
So no, there's not. What there is there's people and connecting with them, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing that's going to build my conviction more in Bitcoin. And there's no more pure signal than sitting here at the Beach Breaker Hotel and talking to you, and talking to Chris, and talking to my man Jacob.
Yep.
And realizing all of the stuff that we're bringing to the table, it clarifies it so much. All of the bullshit falls aside. I haven't thought about the price the whole time I've been here. I don't care because I just know where we're going. But like, I don't care at all. I know where we're headed, and it's because I'm talking to you guys. I have barely spent any time on Twitter. The only thing I did is post that thing, and then I got the retweet from Max and the pin, because I've just been so here with you guys, and that is what I like to follow, man. And it really comes down to those core principles. The core principles are: you need to get off zero, you need to get Bitcoin. And really, I don't like get off zero. I like get on one. You need to get to a Bitcoin. You got to hurry your ass up, because you're going to get priced out. You're not going to be able to even sell your house to get a whole Bitcoin in 18 months. You're going to be screwed. So you've got to be quick. You've got to have an extreme level of urgency. You've got to get some Bitcoin. And then once you've got that taken care of, you need to start taking massive risks. Now, getting the Bitcoin, that is a massive risk. I'll give that to you. But like, a massive risk for me is moving to El Salvador, okay, on a whim. And I said, I'm going to make this thing work. And when you start to take those risks, it's like you're blind and there's a fog of war and you can't see the path in front of you, and you stand up and you take a step, and all of a sudden the path clears and you start to realize this isn't dangerous, but there's actually this beautiful, almost magical, miraculous path that just unveils in front of you. And it almost feels as if the universe bends itself to you when you take these massive risks. And it's a really crazy concept, but you've got to take massive risks. And then once you've gotten some Bitcoin and you've taken those massive risks, the next thing you've really got to focus on is getting some tools. And you've got to get whatever tools it's going to take for you to accomplish the goals that you've got to get, depending on if it's AI or in Bitcoin or in technology or in fitness or in personal relationships and all that kind of stuff. Those tools, whether it's my drone or my six pack or my cigarettes or whatever, they're all having an effect. Okay. Cigarettes make you smarter. Now they take a little bit off the end of your life, but you get that little buff right here and now. You know what I mean? So it's a tool. And you know what else is a tool? Is these microphones, your camera, my drone, like all of your connections are tools. You've got to start to realize and quantify and analyze exactly what your tools are that are going to get you where you got to be. You know, your tool might be a fucking gym membership if you're a 300-pound slob.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you got to get that tool.
Yeah.
And you know what? Better tool is going to be a personal trainer and maybe some Ozempic. Get it done.
Yeah.
So, you got to get the tools.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, once you've got your Bitcoin, you've taken massive risks, you've got your tools all lined up, is you need to, with all your might and all your momentum and all your force and all your vigor and all your heart, you need to connect with people. You need to do everything in your power to curate your environment, curate your social media, so that you are in a space where you can free flow and free think, not be nervous, and actually connect with people on this core level. Because when all of the facades slip away and you're just pure, like we are right here, it's just this heart-to-heart connection, and it opens all the doors. And when you hit those four things, man, life becomes magical, life becomes a miracle, and life becomes this journey that you can't not enjoy.
I love the connecting with people message, and I really resonate with that, because coming to El Salvador, creating content in this space was a big goal of mine, and it's been so challenging because that's all I've been doing is connecting with guys like you, and exploring.
And there's
the
always
Bitcoin
another guy to
community.
connect with too.
And
so
they're
it's
coming.
never ending.
They just keep coming,
and more staying.
and the support that I've gotten here has been overwhelming. But Jonah, I'm going to open it up for you. If you have any last comments or words of wisdom, if not, just let us know where we can follow you and learn more.
So here's the words of wisdom. The reality is that there's nothing like Bitcoin. Every other monetary system there is, period, is sold or enforced by a party. Now, Bitcoin is the only opt-in one that was given to us in this immaculate conception method. What is that? So in the story of the Bible and Jesus, doesn't matter whether or not you believe it literally or not, in those ancient texts there is wisdom. Now, the story of Jesus is like a resurrection story and all of this, right? Now, what you have to realize is that with Bitcoin, there's the exact same concept of Jesus not having a father. He was born of a virgin. He came out of nowhere and changed the course of history forever, probably more than any other man in the world, whether or not you believe in the Christianity and all this. So, I mean, they changed the freaking date. It's AD, after death, before death, and then they tried to change it to BCE, right? But so this immaculate conception of Bitcoin makes it very special because Ethereum was 70% pre-mined and sold for Bitcoin. Hex, same story. Solana, same story. VC investors, charismatic figure behind it, trying to get you to believe that in some way it is superior in some form. Buy my shit. That's what they're saying. You don't want to do that because that is a system that's being sold to you. Now, the fiat is not being sold to you. It's being forced upon you. So saying if you're not going to evolve in the fiat system, you're going to end up in jail. If you're not going to pay your taxes, it's going to be a problem. Bitcoin is the only one that has that immaculate conception. And clearly you could probably tell I'm a little bit of a spiritual type of person. I believe in a lot of like really beautiful concepts. I've seen them play out in life and synchronicities. And Bitcoin is that synchronicity. Bitcoin is that unique factor. Bitcoin is that magic thing. I was listening to this court case because I'm a nerd. And the court case was about foreclosure. He was getting foreclosed on his mortgage. This was in the 1900s.
Okay.
And he's suing the bank foreclosing on his home because he says, no, you can't foreclose and take my house because the contract's not valid. Well, why is the contract not valid? In a contract, there's something called consideration, and consideration is exchange of value between two parties, and without a consideration, there is no contract. It's null and void. That's why I can't make you sign a contract that says, you're going to be my slave forever, no matter what, and you sign it, and you're fucked. No, there's no consideration. It's not a valid contract. Okay. So he says, the reason that there is no consideration, the reason this is not a valid contract is because I gave you my $20,000 down payment, and then what you do, and so a lot of people don't know this, what you did is you then printed the rest of the money for my house out of thin air. Now, is that value? Because the last time I checked, and this is what he says verbatim, the only one who can create something of value out of nothing is God. And I just thought to myself, this is way before Bitcoin, I thought, where the fuck did Bitcoin come from? I don't know. Who's Satoshi?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But I know that he came and he left us a gift, and he didn't try to force it on us, and he didn't try to sell it to us, and he didn't try to, I don't want to use this word, but I can't think of a better word. He didn't try to molest it or like make it dirty or like change it, So there really is nothing out there like Bitcoin. So for all the people that have been brainwashed by Hex or XRP or all of the different data and the sales pitches they have, there are teams with hundreds of millions of dollars trying to convince you of these things so you buy their coins with your Bitcoin. What did they sell you the Ethereum for? It was for Bitcoin.
Everything is denominated in Bitcoin in the crypto world. I agree. When I learned that lesson, I was like, wow, they're all just trying to get Bitcoin at the end of the day. I just need to start getting as much Bitcoin as I have and stop shitcoining. And I'm very guilty of shitcoining when I first got into the space. I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me.
That's the natural progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not a maxi, you're gonna end up driving a taxi.
I love that.
So don't do it.
Awesome, man. Cool, man. Where can folks follow you and
Ledger
learn more?
Jedi, LEDGRGE. Sorry, LE. I got ran over by a truck.
We'll have to crop in your pictures.
I don't think that we can. This is going on YouTube. They're fairly graphic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Ledger Jedi. It's like Ledger, like a Bitcoin ledger. Jedi, like Star Wars. Ledger Jedi.
Twitter, Instagram.
Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to be working on a YouTube, getting that up as well. So yeah, find me Ledger Jedi everywhere.
Yeah, and for everybody out there, you're very willing to connect with people, and you
absolutely. If you come to Elzonte, come find me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be living here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm renting a spot. I'm so happy to just connect you with all the people that I've been connected with. The way that I looked at it is when I moved here, I was so confused. I didn't know how to get my visa. I didn't know how to move and get the import stuff. And it was so confusing. And I got here, it was 9 p.m. and I'm lost and I can't find the Airbnb. And you know what? Just Bitcoiners come and find me and they just are like, hey, I had the same experience. I was so confused. Let me show you what's up. And in a matter of 48 hours, I'm like, oh, I just know what's going on. So you come here, you find me. I'm so happy to show you the people, connect you, help you get involved, meet some people, and just have a great time as well. So yeah, come say what's up in Elzonte, El Salvador, and you will not regret it.
Awesome, man. Ledger Jedi, everybody. Do you remember the Salvadorian?
I do. Boom. Boom.
Pura vida en El Salvador.